Home Depot and Lowe's are some of the largest lumber retailers in the country. In fact, in 2020, Home Depot sold more than $10 billion in lumber. They recently held an earnings call talking about their 2021 earnings and gave some insights as to where they think lumber prices are headed. So stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Home Depot and Lowe's have been ground zero for the volatility in lumber prices over the past few years. First, there were the lumber shortages of 2020, then prices skyrocketed and there was tons of supply and lumber just stacked to the rafters. Things seemed to even out for a while, but as lumber futures have increased, so have prices at the big box retailers. So what do the big box retailers have to say about the future of lumber prices? Well, in an earnings call that took place this past week, the leaders at Home Depot spoke about lumber prices and what they think is going to happen. They first started talking about the housing market, and that's important because, as we all know, the U.S. housing market is one of the biggest drivers of lumber consumption in the world. So let's listen to what they said, taken directly from the call itself.
Now I'll comment on our outlook for 2022. The broader housing environment continues to be supportive of home improvement. Demand for homes continues to be strong, and existing home inventory available for sale remains near record lows, resulting in support for continued home price appreciation. The aggregate value of U.S. home equity grew approximately 35%, or $6.5 trillion, since the first quarter of 2019. The housing stock continues to age, and customers tell us the demand for home improvement projects of all sizes is healthy.
So as they see the growth in housing as a positive thing for their business, that growth also indicates a higher demand for building supplies like lumber. Here's what they said about lumber more specifically.
Lumber prices remain volatile. For example, in the fourth quarter alone, pricing for framing lumber ranged from approximately $585 to over $1,200 per thousand board feet, an increase of more than 100%. When lumber hit those extraordinary highs in early part of last year, we saw a dramatic unit productivity fall off, and then we also saw a very quick fall off in lumber prices. As lumber prices have recovered through this quarter, we are starting to see some unit pressure on lumber. But again, I'd say a lot of it is supply related as well. I mean, it's tougher to get that elasticity curve completely right when we have the supply imbalances.
They went on later to talk about how the volatility in lumber prices makes it difficult because if the value of your inventory falls while you're holding it, all of a sudden you've lost money. It works the other way too, but retailers like this really hate volatility. They want things to be even and predictable. They want something that they can plan for, not a seesaw. Later, they cite inflation and supply chain issues as the drivers for price increases as well.
While we are encouraged by the consistent and resilient demand we've seen for home improvement, broader uncertainty remains with respect to the impact of inflation, supply chain dynamics, and how consumer spending will evolve through the year.
So the best guidance that Home Depot can provide is that lumber remains volatile. I don't think that's news to any of us. I mean, I get comments all the time of people telling me about the projects that they have to put on hold or the projects that are all of a sudden a lot more expensive and what lumber prices are doing where they are. And it's hard to see that. And you do see that kind of up and down. And we've experienced that all for the past 2 years. But there's another half to this, and that is Lowe's. Because again, Lowe's is also not as big as Home Depot, but they are a huge seller of lumber. And they also had an earnings call recently, and theirs was a bit more informative. So here's what they had to say.
I'd like to spend just a moment addressing the recent increase in lumber prices. We are confident that we have an effective strategy to carefully manage our inventory and rapidly adjust pricing. Although we are planning for our lumber margins to be compressed when prices decline, we are confident in our outlook for gross margin rate to be up slightly in 2022. Now, please keep in mind that our outlook assumes that lumber pricing will return to a more normalized level in the second half of the year.
So Lowe's is predicting that lumber prices will fall in the second half of the year, and they are preparing their business for those prices to come down. Now, if they're right, that's a good thing. But what do you guys think? Do you think they're right? Do you think lumber prices are going to go down here in the second half of the year? What are lumber prices doing where you live? Have you been able to get any of your projects done? Leave me a comment and let me know what's going on where you are. Now, as always, thanks for watching. I hope that you found this video interesting and informative. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos on lumber pricing and DIY projects, and we'll see you in the next one.